I made a video reviewing Dead by Daylight roughly 4 months ago. However, with the most recent update to come to Dead by Daylight, it has changed everything. The entire meta has been switched up, the grind has been significantly reduced, and since the video, MMR was also readjusted. All these changes I feel like warrant me making an updated video on Dead by Daylight, so that, my friends, is what I'll be doing today. We'll be talking about everything that has come to the game and how it has changed my opinion on Dead by Daylight. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I'm going to start off this video by talking about my favorite part of this entire update, the huge balancing changes made in this update. First off, generator speeds were increased across the board, along with most killer actions getting a 10% decrease in time. This means killers will recover from hits 10% faster, they'll be able to kick pallets and breakable walls 10% faster, and other similar actions will be 10% faster, like kicking generators. On top of this, Bloodlust 2 and 3 is now significantly easier to get because they reduce the time to go from tier 1 of Bloodlust to tier 2 and from tier 2 to tier 3. All of these changes were to help make killers feel more impactful and more dangerous. However, to balance these changes out, survivors now have base kit borrowed time for 5 seconds after being unhooked. However, borrowed time and DS now go away if a survivor starts to do a conspicuous action or if the exit gates are powered, which this makes it harder for killers to tunnel survivors in theory. We'll get into why I don't actually think that this solves the problem later in the video, but overall, the general gameplay changes sway way farther in the killer's favor. However, I feel this is warranted considering the past month or so. I felt that killer can be a little on the weaker side, especially if you enjoy playing killers that aren't considered meta. However, the perk changes affected both sides pretty evenly across the board. We'll start with the killer perks. A ton of gen slowdown and regression perks were hit hard with heavy nerfs, including Corrupt Intervention, Ruin, Pop Goes the Weasel, Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, and Tinkerer. However, a few gen related perks were buffed to compensate, with Scourge Hook, Gift of Pain, and Jolt getting pretty huge buffs, along with Overcharge, Thanatophobia, and Eruption following suit just to a lesser extent. Outside of gen related perks, we saw buffs all around, with the only exception to this being Noed, which desperately needed a nerf. And by making the perk reveal its aura to survivors within 24 meters of the totem, it allows the perk to still be strong in the in-game, but allows survivors a more reliable way to counter the perk, which in turn makes the perk less of a free kill in the in-game. Now to move on to the survivor side of things, survivors saw a similar trend to killer, with majority of their really good perks being nerfed heavily, including Decisive Strike, Iron Will, Spine Chill, Self-Care, and Dead Hard, which justifiably got hit the hardest. However, survivors saw way more perks receive a significant buff, some of the strongest being Off the Record, which now gives you the Endurance status effect if you get unhooked for 80 seconds until you start a conspicuous action, or the exit gates are powered. Botany Knowledge, which now heals 50% faster instead of 35%, but medkits will be 20% less efficient while the perk is equipped. Also, Saboteur can now see the auras of Scourge Hooks in the trial. These aren't even all of the major changes, these are just the ones I found to be the most significant. I think their reasoning behind buffing a lot of survivor perks was A, to help alter the stale meta, and B, to help counteract the longer gen speeds and killer-oriented buffs in this update. And I think they've done a great job of balancing both sides out without making one side feel way worse than the other, which is always great to see. Also, they definitely succeeded in changing the meta. You rarely see Dead Hard or Decisive Strike anymore, which was ran by every survivor before the update. And you rarely see Ruin and Tinkerer, which were a deadly combo on the killer side of things. Overall, these changes are really healthy for the game in my eyes. I'm really happy Behavior decided to listen to the community and make some major changes that have been requested for years. On top of the great changes to the meta, Behavior also made the grind in this game significantly faster. The way the grind used to work was if you wanted all the perks in Dead by Daylight, you had to level up a survivor or killer to level 40 to get all of their teachable perks, and then you had to level every character you wanted those perks on until you got the perks on the character you want. Also, prestiging would effectively reset your character back to square one, so there was no real point in prestiging unless you just wanted the cosmetics. After the update, the way the grind works is if you want all the perks in the game, you have to prestige a survivor or killer to prestige 1. When you do that, their unique perks will be unlocked on every character in the game at tier 1. You can continue to prestige that character to increase the tier of their perks. If you prestige them to prestige 2, you'll get their perks on everyone at tier 2, And if you get them to Prestige 3, they'll be unlocked at Tier 3. Also, prestiging will no longer remove perks, add-ons, or items. This makes the grind a lot shorter, especially if you're a killer main and want every perk on every killer. On top of them reworking the prestige system, they also raised the cap of how many blood points you can earn per match from 32,000 to 40,000. The global soft cap was also increased from 1 million blood points to 2 million blood points. Overall, there's nothing for me to complain about in this area. Making the grind easier is always a good thing, so there isn't really much more to talk about with this. Finally, I'm going to be talking about how this update has affected my opinion on the game. I was originally really skeptical of this game when I first reviewed it. I really didn't know whether or not to recommend it, mainly because of the skill-based matchmaking being really boring to play, and the ridiculous grind if you were a new player. I originally came to the decision that I would recommend it, but I was still on the fence. Today, I stand by the recommendation wholeheartedly. Not only did they tweak skill-based matchmaking and solve that terrible problem, which after that change made the game 10 times more fun for me, they also completely changed the meta, as I said earlier, and they changed the grind that was really bad for new players. The grind definitely still exists. DBD still has a ridiculous long grind even after this update. However, it has been significantly reduced, and in my experience, it feels way more fun to grind for perks now after the update. Now, my one main issue right now is that I think the survivor side of things got nerfed a little too hard. My opinion may change with time after playing the update more, but I feel like camping and tunneling is just too easy with the current meta and the current state of the game, and killers don't really face that many consequences when they do so. I think they need to look into ways to disincentivize killers from doing it. I don't know what they would do, but they need to do something about it, because getting camped is never fun for the survivor, and honestly, it's not really fun for the killer either. I don't enjoy camping because it's just boring to me, and I think that camping in a lot of scenarios just ruins the game for both people, so I think they need to add some way to disincentivize it. So, in short, Dead by Daylight has made a massive overhaul to the game that has made it exponentially more fun to play on all fronts. If you're watching this video to see if you should re-download the game or even purchase it for the first time, I definitely recommend downloading it and checking it out. There's very few games like Dead by Daylight. The only ones I can really think of on the top of my head right now is VHS, which I plan on doing a video here soon about that game. It just came out. And Dead by Daylight has a ton of content in it, and it has given me over 700 hours of great fun. And if you get into this game with friends, I'm sure you'll have a great time. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I'm sure you'll enjoy this video, which you should click on right now. Go on, friend. Click it.